Hello there, YouTubers. It's Mr. Zan over here with another Fairy Tale Zero episode review. In this episode, it's going to be about episode 10, Eternal Adventure. In this episode, I feel like it was a little bit more a little more drastically sad, since it follows the events of after the Tenro Jade, and I feel like this was the last episode actually in the Fairy Tale Zero saga now. It spanned about for 10 episodes, which I think was actually pretty nice. That it actually lasted for about 10 episodes. Cause I feel like when you read it, I thought it would at least last at least 5 episodes. Cause like the saga for this was entirely short, but like if done right, it could have spent like at least a little bit like a more like at least 12 maybe. Cause there's some stuff that they could have kept going on with. They could have mentioned a little bit more how Blue Skull like it actually like it was like more even plagiarizing the whole entire town. They could have spent like 2 episodes on how they were training and how to get stronger. Like to be honest, like I'm still shocked that they actually like expanded only to like entirely 10 episodes, which is pretty good. But the episode starts off in when right when Yuri is telling Mavis about how Yuri is like you could say he's like breaking down the law on Mavis that ZerØ is an actual it's an illusion based on Mavis's past experience. Of course, because Zora actually died, like I believe in the first episode, but they kind of hinted that throughout each and every single episode that she actually did die. But in reality, of course, anybody that read the fairy tale manga and everything know that she actually did die. But just that the episodes they were just hinting at it. They didn't really want to say it, but they were hinting. They were hinting towards it, and that's what they did in this episode when they were continuing from that last episode was like the following events, and it shows that Mavis did accept Zora that she was dead. She took it kind of pretty hard though. It's like she was like tearing, Hero, Hero's artwork. Whenever like one of the characters are always crying, or just pure waterworks all over their eyes. Just like tearing, falling down on the floor, like just breaking down. And you kind of feel sorry for Mavis too at the same time, as her whole life was kind of like a lie. And this episode kind of says that, like, your whole life was a lie. Like I'm sorry to tell you, but you've been living a whole life into your town life. And we're sorry, we're the ones that have to tell you. But that's the kind of the good thing about it is that Yuri was actually like able to tell her in a peaceful way, of course. I mean, like there's nothing else that she can lose now. It's just like she has like that the black magic that was like plagued upon her. So now like she has nothing more else left to do. So kind of feel sorry for Mavis in this whole entire episode. But this episode was not entirely let's disappointing, as now the episode from right there, like Mavis goes on, like they continue their normal lives, like I love how this episode was actually well paced as well, because it shows off how Mavis and all, and they're still doing their own thing, and then you see Mavis, like she's in town and she's like they're celebrating, that Blue Skull is like over with, which by the way, like man, like the whole town was like just having a blast. They were partying it up like crazy, But I like this one scene, like if it was like comical effect that this one family, like back from a couple episodes, they invite Mavis to their party. Mavis is just wondering, like just questioning life, like, oh, what should I do next? Like now that Zura's not here no more, what should I do this? And next like she just like gets like an idea, like, oh, I know what to do. Instead of being like partying with the guests that were there, that invited Mavis to their house. Instead, Mavis actually takes the food that was offered there. Actually, I don't even think it was offered. I think it was just like up for grabs or anything. I'm not too sure, but I still find it like hilarious that Mavis actually grabbed the food and said, "Oh, you know what? Before I leave, let me just take this and yadoos," and just leaves. And I'm laughing, like the whole family just looked at Mavis like, what? And I'm here thinking, like I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping that family had a little bit more food on the table to feed themselves, because I feel like like this family's kind of broke, like it looked like they were like a broke family, and it felt like Mavis took like the majority of the food away, and I kind of started chuckling, like, man, man, I was like, you're a fiend. You're just a fiend, just stealing other people's food right there. That's hilarious. In my opinion, I thought that was like a little hilarious scene right there. I don't know if any of you YouTubers out there would find that hilarious, but in my opinion, I thought that was a little hilarious scene. And then it continues on into more like a comical effect. Like I said, like the pacing of this episode was pretty nice. Like they still continue like with a little bit more comedy included in there. When throughout the episode, like you actually then see that Yuri, Ward, and they're practicing they're hey, Mavis, how you been? Like they're welcome back. Like they're practicing their greetings to like talk back to Mavis after everything that's been happening. And like of course Yuri's always the optimistic one, with the high five with the little sparkles all around. And Ward, like Ward and Yuri, it kind of went along with it, but with Prax, it actually really doesn't really go along with it. Like I like how they kind of go with this character. He's always being the stern, strict, hard boiled personality that that you can't change. So like when he tries to smile and give that thumbs up, it looks like he's like a serial killer. Oh yes, Mavis, good to see you. Like it's just that's the kind of face that it kind of gave, and I'm here laughing at myself like, oh, 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 Precht, you'll always be that hard boiled character that everyone still loves, regardless that you still even if you turn evil later on in the future part of the storyline, but still, that was a pretty funny comical effects that they had there throughout the entire episode. But I forgot to mention also that in the beginning of the episode, they're also mentioning that you know Ward and Precht also knew that ZerØ was an illusion, and they were just also playing along with with Mavis, because like you could tell that all these characters are really close friends. See, like they actually like they thought about Mavis's personal feelings. Like, oh, she must have been traumatized when she was young, so let's leave it at that. And I kind of enjoy about that, like that like Hiroshima's influence is always about Nakama. Oh, my Nakama, and that's what they really focused on that in this episode, and that's what this whole episode kind of pivot off. Like it was a starting point, and it just brushed off. Like from that scene, it literally brushes off towards that idea that Mavis that I was talking about earlier. That idea that Mavis actually had thought was actually the idea that to start Fairy Tail. Yes, this is the episode where Fairy Tail finally starts. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Fairy Tail now officially starts because Mavis actually wants to build a whole wizard guild now that Blue Skull's influence is done, and they build like not a stable economy like how they said it, like they built an economic structure around Magnolia that there still needs to be a wizard guild there, at least to push it forward, at least for the town to keep going, and Navis even told the town too that it's not gonna be a fighting guild, it's not gonna be like that kind of stereotypical guild that that you're all gonna fear and hate. She was saying that they're here to bring in prosperous and nature and harmony, towards the town, towards the townsfolk. I'm sorry about that, and that's what Mavis is actually like kept promising. And then throughout the episode, you're wondering like Mavis is actually keeping her word, and all the townsfolk actually believed in Mavis. They were kind of doubting her at first, but they actually believed in it, and that's how you can tell that Fairy Tail's now like officially starting to become like the central point in that episode, like for the whole entire storyline in itself, because of course like somebody's gonna doubt you when you're barely starting off, and it's funny, hilarious to, like that they only started off with like only like 3 characters, yeah, like about 3 characters. No, I'm sorry, uh, 4 characters in total, and that's hilarious, like like 4 characters in total just to start a wizard guild right there, but they're the strongest so far. They're the strongest so far in a sense, because in the episode they kind of go along that there's some wars going on, and like that, and this is where like Mavis is now like appreciated as like a battle tactician and stuff and such like that, and that's pretty cool in its own way, because that's how Fairy Tail kind of started. Like they kind of noticed that it wasn't that they were like a strong guild. No, it's just the way they were kind of they were smart about how they were planning. They were like how do I say, like they're very tactical. I'm sorry about, there you go, I'm trying to find the right word. They're very tactical in the sense of what they're doing. They're not joking around. And that's what this episode was kind of proving to the point. And it even had like a little comical effect in the episode where the I forgot his name was, I think it was Jerry. Yeah, if I remember, Jerry was also there. You actually see that like Phantom Lord was actually just as long. It started off just as long as Fairy Tail, and that's hilarious because Fairy Tail was like since like 680, yeah, like 688 from what I remember, yeah, 688, and then Phantom Guild's from 680. So Phantom Lord, I'm sorry, the Guild Phantom Lord is like from 6 88 as well. So these two guilds have like been at it since like for like 30, 40 years maybe, and that just shows something that like man, they should have stepped up the plate from there. But no, apparently that the this guild is like still second in command. But they weren't called. They were originally Blue Skull, and that's what's the hilarious part about it too, is that Blue Skull was actually they were actually fighting. Fairy Tail's always fighting Blue Skull in its way, and that's pretty cool. Like that, like they're having a war, like not a war, it's just a dispute. You could say like a dispute towards Blue Skull for like a whole entire like 2 or 3 generations. That's pretty gnarly though. Damn, not one could have just stood down and said, you know what, let's just end this. Like what's your beef, homie? You know, but no, they have to keep fighting for like 3 or 4 generations, which I found it hilarious. But in the end, this episode kind of also went along with is that it actually showed off that like the timeline. That's what I liked about this. It showed the timeline, and I'll explain to you guys right now. Like I remember, it's like I wrote it down right here. It says in February 688, that's when the fairy tale wizards. That's when they joined in this like this war that was happening around that time, and that's how Fairy Tail got noticed. That's why, like I said earlier, that's how they got noticed. It was in this like inter guild war that was going on, and that's where Mavis got like really like appreciated, and she got noticed by like other guild members, you know. And that's pretty in its sense, that's actually pretty like that says something, They're fighting against like armies, armies of people, and Mavis got recognized with just only her 4 Fairy Tail members, So that just says something, See, it's not about brawn, it's about you gotta have a little bit of brains on the side. And then it said May 690, Yuri Dreyer got married, and then the trade war was finished, and the inter-guild treaty is born, all in that year, which I kind of find it kind of interesting. Is that they didn't really showcase a lot about Yuri, which they can actually, I feel like they can make a side note of the Yuri and that trade war, because there are a lot of stuff that's been happening in a sense during that war, and that's they only give like small hints of like, oh, it's just a war, but Hero can actually go along and pull some strings, and they say, oh, you know what, let me just make a spin-off series on that war, showcase like some dark past and dark history, like. But no, they're just gonna show like just give us those little tiny hints of that. Oh yeah, they were just in this war. But that's just like my opinion and ideas that Hero could have done. To lengthen the Fairy Tail Zero too. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe he wants to create like a Fairy Tail Zero 2018 or something like that. And he's gonna showcase the war that Mavis was in. But who knows? Then in March 696, Yuri's son Makarov is born. Excuse me. Yes. Makarov is finally born in March of 696. And I found that's pretty cool, Like freaking Yuri actually was born. But if I remember correctly, there was some kind of stuff that like kind of happened along that way that was there. I know they don't showcase it here. I think they showcase it in the actual Fairy Tail manga. But I'm not too sure. I don't think they didn't really show that case that. But I don't want to spoil it or anything. But then in in the year 697, Mavis's grave is constructed. I like how they said that. The Mavis's grave is constructed on Tenryou Island, and then Prek becomes the second Fairy Tail master. I like how they said that. They didn't say she died. See, there's a little hint right there. They never said Mavis died, but her grave was constructed. Interesting. See, that's what I like about like there's power in words right there, folks. Mavis's grave is constructed, so that's how you know, like, Mavis, are you really dead, or is it just your tombstone there? That was interesting. That's when I read it, I was like, Hiroshima, you are so smart. Interesting. But then we got the year 700. Yes, Yuri Dreyer dies. Yeesh. Another good main character. But I like how they actually said I feel like they said that he dies is because of old age. They didn't say they don't mention like someone killing him or anything. They just said like I'm assuming he just dies of a natural state. And that's how like I feel like manga artists always do. Like whenever they kill somebody, they always do it based on on age. They never mention like, oh, so you die by somebody, and like he has to only die by somebody. No, that's pretty cool. Like he died by old age, just natural death. Maybe he had like some sort of sickness or something, but like there's nothing you can do, which is pretty like in itself. Like it's a little depressing at the same time, because like Yuri J was a pretty powerful character in itself. But what can we do about it? Then the year 731, Ward retires. Yeesh. Kind of wish he kind of stayed in Fairy Tail, but I'm assuming like he got tired and he just wasn't young enough no more. Maybe that's why he just retired. But then Prek then suddenly starts learning black magic in the same year, and I'm assuming because it's all of of Yuri Dreyer, that all of this is all Yuri's death kind of. I'm assuming this transpired all of this, that it changed these two characters, and that's my opinion. I think that maybe that's why Prek might have gone into darkness as well, because like people were just dying like up left and right around him, and he's starting to get lonely. That's why maybe that's why he fell into dark magic. you know but then in year 736, Makarov becomes the third master. Then Prek finally retires in that year. But we all know why he retires, because he's actually following more of his black magic. So he can have more time following that. And I'm assuming, which is him like following ZerØ in itself. But like I said, like I love how Hiroshima did this timeline. Like it just fits so perfectly. Then the year 784, Agnolia comes on the island and does his average thing. Just like comes in, smashes Fairy Tail, boom, and then it gets said 7 years later. Then it becomes 785. Then Cobalt becomes the fourth Fairy Tail master, and then in the year 791, then Fairy Tail returns from Magnolia. Cobalt is still the Fairy Tail master for like I think it was like 7 years, and then Gildarts becomes the fifth master right after that. But then when Gildarts is master, he retires and says, you know what, I'm gonna go back to being a regular Fairy Tail mage instead of the master, and makes Makarov again the sixth master, which is like I found that hilarious, like in that episode, because like it's like they're trying to get rid of Makarov, but they just like, no, man, you're too cool to die, so you're back at it again, with your hilarious jokes, you know. And I feel like that time it was actually pretty interesting, even though it was like showcasing like the end credits and everything. It had a little song in there, but that time it was important. If you're actually paying attention to the storyline, I think that was pretty cool. You know, but yeah, this is my review right here. Like I can't think of anything else, because that episode itself, like I said, the pacing was very nice. I love how it ended right there. There's a lot of stuff that Hiroshima can also like keep going on about, but that's Fairy Tail ZerØ right there in itself, and that's what it is, like the bulk of it. Because you never know what hero can actually like make more of the storyline if he wants to like keep milking it or cashing it in, you know. But and then Fairy Tail was branded right there in itself. Yes, yes, yes. But let me know in the comments, people. What you guys think about this episode? Did you guys find it interesting? Did you guys love how Fairy Tail ZerØ was portrayed throughout each and every episode? Did you guys love how Yuri actually was showcased? Did you guys love how Practa, like? Did you guys think that Practa was like showcased as being like evil in itself? 'Cause, like in my opinion, I thought since I've read like Fairy Tail, I've been reading Fairy Tail like for quite a while now, so I kind of knew he was already evil. But for those new viewers, you guys think that like you think Pract was shown as like like hinting that like he was evil, you know, like that's the way I see it. Like like for people that don't know, like do you guys like think that he was evil, And what about and Ward? What do you guys think about his character? What do you guys think is the development throughout the whole entire? I feel like his development's not even done. Like, they kind of just like shrugged him off right there at the end. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this. But this is Mr. Zen signing out.